So hello there, you're welcome. I'm Nurse Jonathan Nzebuka. And in this particular video, I'm going to help you understand how the process of breathing works. You see, when it comes to breathing, it's not just about taking in oxygen and taking out carbon dioxide. The reason why you can do what you are doing today, like moving, working, running, is because of this oxygen you are taking in. And so in this video, I'm going to explain 3 key processes that makes it possible for us to be alive today by the power of the air we breathe in and the one we take out. And they are divided into 3. That's why we are going to be talking about the external respiration, the internal respiration, and the cellular respiration. So we are going to take this. But you see, this class is going to be more interesting. So I want you to pay attention because I'm going to be using a very interesting illustration for us, okay? Thank you. Now, most of you watching this video are either individuals that are curious or individuals that are already on a journey along the health career path, no matter what field you are in, even if it is just a field that is understanding the human body and not necessarily based on treatment of the human body. So, a lot of us, no matter the country we are from, be it a third world country, a developing country, or a country that is already a first world country, if I will put it that way, are used to what we call a bus station, or some of us will call it a bus stop. So I want you to imagine this, okay? We want to talk about external respiration first, but I'm going to give you an illustration here. Look at this. This is a sign. This is a sign that says bus stop or bus station. I'll call it the bus stop. Okay? This is a sign, the bus stop sign. Now, usually at the bus station or at the bus stop, there are people that are waiting. Now, I want you to imagine people waiting here as health workers, be it you're a nurse, a doctor, a pharmacist, a physiotherapist, a biochemist, a medical laboratory scientist, what have you. Now, you are here waiting at the bus stop and you have a destination. And what is that destination? The destination here is the hospital. I want you to imagine this destination here as the hospital. Now let's imagine you going to work to the hospital. You are going for your morning shift. You are going for your morning shift. Now, while it is you are preparing, waiting at the bus station so that the bus will arrive to take you to the hospital for your morning shift, there are some individuals that are already in the bus coming back. Now, this is the bus. I want us to imagine this as the bus. I'm so sorry if I'm using a double-decker bus. And wherever you are, you may not have seen a double-decker bus. Yeah. So, there are individuals in this bus that are coming from the hospital. These are other health workers. Now, these health workers are those coming from their 9th shift. They want to go back home. This is 9th shift. Now, you see, the moment those from the 9th shift arrive, they are going to come down and head home. But you, on the other hand, going to your morning shift, you get into the bus. Now, I want you to imagine this bus stop that you are waiting as the lungs. Let the bus stop represent the lungs. Let the morning shift, you are the morning shift. I want you to represent oxygen, O2, that is located in the lungs. I want this bus to represent, let the bus equal your blood, which carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. Very good. I want those on 9 shift to represent those on the night shift, I want them to represent, let those on night shift represent carbon dioxide, that is CO2. Are you see what I'm doing there? Calm down. Now, the hospital, let the hospital represent cells. The cell. No. Let the hospital represent the cell or tissue. The cell or tissues of your body. I'll write it here. Hospital, this is the cell. Good. Now, with this simple illustration, I'm going to explain external respiration, internal respiration, and I'm going to explain cellular respiration. Now, what is exactly external respiration? Now, when it comes to external respiration is just simply the exchange of gases between the lungs, particularly the alveoli, this diagram representing here, and the blood. Now, that blood is carried by the capillaries surrounding the alveoli. Remember, capillaries are just those blood vessels that have fenestrations. Capillaries are those blood vessels that have fenestrations. Fenestrations are like openings. All right, fenestrations. And sometimes too, in the case of the alveoli, remember, things move between the alveoli. They are tiny air sacs. Alveoli are tiny air sacs. All right, let me clear that. Now they move between the blood vessel, this capillary, and the alveoli by diffusion. So in that case, think of it as this. External respiration, like we said, is simply the exchange of gases, oxygen going from the lungs, particularly the alveoli, to the blood, and CO2 coming from the blood to the what? Alveoli or the lungs, so that you breathe it out while you're taking in oxygen. Walk with me. Now, using our illustration, in that case, just like you are on a morning shift, you're on morning shift, I want CO2 here, oxygen. You are oxygen waiting in the lungs. For what? Blood, which is representing this bus, to carry oxygen, O2, CO2, I mean, that is carbon dioxide. You're waiting for you to carry CO2 to come so that they will now drop CO2 from this blood, this red blood cell carrying CO2 will drop it where? Into the alveoli. And then you, O2, will jump right into the blood, which represents the bus. So that is what external respiration is all about. External respiration is simply the exchange of gases between the lungs and what? The blood. Now, you've successfully hopped on the bus. That's very good. Let us move to internal respiration. Your oxygen, now your journey has started. Your journey has started down to the hospital. You, maybe you're a pharmacist or a nurse or a doctor or a psychiatrist, a physiotherapist. Now, you get to the hospital. Before you get to the hospital, that is where internal respiration comes in. Now, what exactly is internal respiration? Internal respiration is simply the exchange of air molecules, or we like call it gaseous molecules. All right? That is exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the blood and what? The cell. Okay? So in that case, using this diagram here, let this environment represent the extracellular environment, but particularly the internal environment of the capillaries, which is usually that blood vessel whereby, ions and oxygen, CO2, glucose can easily diffuse, be it through channels, passive or active diffusion, whatever, can diffuse between the blood and this cell membrane. Let this blue line here represent the cell membrane, because most cell, if every cell has a cell membrane. All right, good. Now, you arrive, you are the red blood cell. Now, internal respiration states, as I would remind us, that it is simply the exchange of gaseous molecules between the blood and the cell. So you that you are arriving at the hospital, you are completely charged, ready for work. You are just like that oxygen or that red blood cell that is rich in what? Oxygen. Okay? So you are completely charged, you are O2, and you need to get into that hospital. Let that hospital represent the cellular environment. Inside there, you get in and you get ready for your morning shift. No matter how long your morning shift lasts, whether it's between 7 till 12 till 2 till 4 or what have you. Now that is what internal respiration is all about. It is just like you getting off this bus and getting into the hospital. So as you are getting off the bus, getting into the hospital for your morning shift, those on night shifts, which represents CO2, are getting back into the bus, which represents the blood, going towards the lungs. Are you seeing what's going on there? Now, this is just me understanding the external respiration and internal respiration. Now, let's get back to business. The part whereby we need to understand cellular respiration. What exactly is cellular respiration? You see, when we talk about cellular respiration, it's not exactly respiration based on like using exchange of gases at this point. Now, this is a case whereby in the cell or in that hospital, work starts. That work that you are doing is where cellular respiration comes in. When you are going on your shift, either doing your ward round, attending to patients, looking at the patient records, getting your briefings and all, every single information, arranging your drugs, looking at arranging your materials, your equipment, everything, donning your gloves, wearing your scrub or your what have you, your gown, anything depending on your profession. Okay. Now, the moment you start your work, that is where cellular respiration comes in. Now, how is that work taking place? This is how the work takes place. There is a structure, we can call it an organelle, located in the cell called mitochondria. Now, do you know what mitochondria does? Mitochondria actually takes oxygen. When it takes oxygen, it uses oxygen to break down glucose. Now, when oxygen breaks down glucose, it produces water and it produces water and it produces CO2. When it breaks down glucose, it produces water, CO2. But more importantly, there's something it produces. It produces ATP. I'll write it here. It produces, let me put this here, ATP. Now, if you want to know what ATP is that energy that your cell, the reason why I'm moving like this now, I'm busy standing, I can move my body like this and jump a little bit, bounce like Goku in anime. Sorry about that. The reason why I can move like this is simply because my cells are using up oxygen, breaking down glucose to produce ATP, and ATP is the energy at the cellular level of your body, the energy your body releases so that you can carry out activities. Now, that ATP is the main thing that mitochondria or your cell needs to carry out its activities. As it breaks down, as it's with the combination of oxygen and glucose, they react, produce ATP, and they produce H2O, which is water, and they still produce CO2, which is carbon dioxide. So ATP is the energy, and this energy is usually between, I think, 32 to 34 ATPs under normal aerobic respiration. Now, water is produced and CO2, which is the waste product, this is the main waste product, is produced. So this is the waste product, CO2 is the waste product, H2O is the byproduct. But the main guy here, for the essence of me and you breathing that keeps us alive and moving, is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So you see, when I asked the question, there was a video I asked a question. I said, what is the main site for internal respiration? Some individuals thought the answer would be the answer is mitochondria. No, please. The site for internal respiration is simply the tissue or the cellular level. Okay, the exchange of gases between gas molecules between the blood and the cells that need them. So there you have it. Now that energy you are expending, all right, you are expending, you are using to do your carry out your shift for the day is what we call ATP, and that is mainly where you will get the cellular respiration. You see the difference now? So in summary, external respiration is the exchange of gases between the alveoli located in your lungs, the alveoli located in your lungs and the blood. Internal respiration is the exchange of gaseous molecules, that is CO2 coming out from the cell into the blood, while O2, oxygen, is going from the blood into the cells or tissues that need them. And this is happening around your body. Your brain cell, your muscle cells or muscle tissues, your brain tissues, your cardiac tissues, every single part of your body that is made up of, that has a cell. If every part of your body has a cell, so what am I saying? You're made up of cell. So that's is where that exchange is going on, internal respiration. But cellular respiration is now where the production of energy, the consumption of glucose to produce energy, ATP, produce water, and the waste product of that consumption or reaction, a long reaction of oxygen and glucose, is now what to give us CO2. You see, so you cannot necessarily say cellular respiration, internal respiration is where the mitochondria, there's an exchange. No, you can't say there's an exchange of gases at this point. At the level of the mitochondria, you say that there is a waste product. CO2 is a waste product. O2 is being used up. But when we talk about let's exchange what we have, like the way this bus is moving, that is where the hospital represents the cell, the bus stop represents the lungs. You on morning shift going to the hospital, you will represent oxygen. Those that are coming from the hospital that are already exhausted and tired, like the way the oxygenated blood has very little oxygen or no oxygen at all, they are so exhausted they need to go home and have their morning rest. Those ones represent CO2. Why the bus represents what? The blood. So this is my 2 cents for you and my nugget for you. So if you really enjoyed this video, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Nurse Jonathan Nzebuka, for such videos. And I really hope to keep up with all this. And if you really enjoyed this, please leave a comment, like the video, and share with your friends, because there's a lot they have to gain. Thank you.